Donn Bunyard began working for Claremont Water District, which later became Clackamas River Water, in 1984 as a waterworks mechanic.
After I got out of high school, I started working for a family-run construction company and spent about 10 years doing that. And in the early 80s, we shut the company down, and I was out of work for quite a while, and I had a family to support. And by providence, I just happened to run into a salesman I knew. He told me about a job at Claremont Water District, which is outside of Oregon City. And I went up and had an interview, just dropped in and to get an application, and had an interview with the general manager and started 2 days later.
Donn's familiarity with water systems and interest in emergency preparedness came together in 2014 when he became Clackamas River Water's first emergency manager.
Because it was something that I had developed a passion for in some of the emergency preparedness training I had had during my career, and we had a need here, and the general manager, Lee Moore at that time, asked me if I would like to do it full-time, and I think it was the best career move I ever made.
An area of increasing focus for water providers is emergency preparedness. Donn's work on preparedness ensured that the Clackamas River Water was ready to respond to the 2021 wildfires and ice storm.
One of the first things I did was develop a continuity of operations plan, which was grant funded for the district, and that kind of got my feet wet for grants. And there was a natural progression that seemed to occur of logical steps. Part of that was developing an emergency response plan for the district, and I had just finished updating the district's emergency response plan when the American Water Infrastructure Act was passed. And it was way more extensive than what I had just developed. So we almost took what we had and started over.
Although compliance to the Resiliency Assessment and Response Plan was required under the American Water Infrastructure Act, it was through Donn's efforts that the district was able to tailor those documents to benefit the community.
The next step was the development of a natural hazard mitigation plan. So a risk and resilience assessment, a natural hazard mitigation plan, and putting those together to make it help improve our emergency response plan.
Clackamas River Water is one of the few water districts to have completed a natural hazard mitigation plan. This was no small accomplishment, considering the fact that Donn was putting a great deal of time and effort to prepare for events that may or may not happen.
I felt a little bit like Chicken Little as I was talking, folks. The sky is falling, or the sky might fall. How are we going to deal with that? And so with the management team that went through that process with me, they began to understand and recognize that we really needed to do this. We needed to make it more of a priority. And so as we undertook all these planning efforts, and I was needing them to pull staff from their primary duties to a secondary duty, I began to get more and more support. As we began to deal with these real disasters, it was a wake-up call for us.
And of course, Donn's foresight and expert planning skills did pay off.
There was I think it was an incident in 2015 where we had people that actually had to evacuate from their homes, and it was rewarding for me because I had people come back and say, "Thank you, we were ready." We had an idea of what we needed to do.
Donn's dedicated work on the district's natural hazard mitigation plan positioned the district to respond to any type of emergency.
We got the plan approved this last year, and working with our engineering department, I believe we were just over $2 million in grant funding requests that we submitted to FEMA to help make our water system more resilient. And that was kind of the crowning moment for my career as an emergency manager, because I really, when I started here, I wanted to leave the district in better shape than what I found at, and I was really able to do that during my years as an emergency manager.